Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good night, or whatever time of day you might be watching our Huddersfield Town away at Ipswich preview. Paul Ogden, our Huddersfield Town commentator, alongside myself, Gareth Jones, looking at this game. Both of us, unfortunately, were at Wolves last time out, Oggy. I went there quite confident and positive. I know you were worried about Wolves being a strong side, but Town were unbeaten in 3. Then the wheels fell off. So after this international break, how are we feeling about Town going into this game?
I would say the wheels were taken off by a much more talented team, Gaz. I do feel chastened. I think you're right. I feel chastened by the Wolves defeat because Town had good spells and were still beat up by 3-0. I'll remind you that my expectations were low, but you can't keep reaching for that excuse. Town need to be better generally than they were at Wolves. But equally, I don't think the 3-game unbeaten run before Molineux was a fluke, because there is a certain species of team within the division that Huddersfield Town will have a chance of beating, consistently have a chance of beating. And I must say that despite the fact that they got into the playoffs last season, I would categorise Ipswich there. They're not the force they used to be at Portman Road. In fact, I don't think they've even won at home since August in the Championship. And they are not quite the team that they were last season for me. So I'm more optimistic on the condition that Chris Powell changes his team selection and that people continue to do their jobs better than they did at Molineux, because they need to return to the standards of that unbeaten run before the Wolves defeat.
Jed Steer has had his loan spell extended. I think he's a very, very good keeper, so I'm very, very happy. But equally, we're told Murphy was going to be fit again and available after this international break. So if they are both fit, or going to be both fit soon, is Steer going to keep his shirt, or is Murphy going to come back in?
Well, I would expect Jed Steer to keep the shirt for as long as he's at Huddersfield Town, Gaz. That's not a reflection of any lesser quality on Joe Murphy's part. But Joe Murphy will be there for the duration of his contract, subject to injury. And Jed Steer is a carefully made investment. It's interesting to note that Aston Villa have extended his contract to 2019 this week, on the day that they also allowed Huddersfield Town to have him for another month under the emergency provisions. Jed Steer is highly rated by a lot of people beyond Huddersfield. So we keep him for as long as we've got him. We enjoy him while we've got him. I would say the same about Elliot Ward if his loan is extended in time for him to play again for Town on the second month at Portman Road. Although as we speak, guys, that deal is not quite firmed up. It may be that Bournemouth are playing harder ball this time with the extension of his loan than last time. But I would take both if I could and hope that the rest of the team performs. Steer and Ward weren't the problems at Wolves. It was other departments of the team and probably the selection at the front end that diminished what the back end was doing.
Yeah, because you're right, actually. The defence on the whole was fairly solid. Davison didn't have a great game at left-back, but the centre-backs were very, very solid. So what would you do with Mark Hudson? The skipper is fit. He's a leader. He's returning to the side. Does he come back in, even if Ward is signed in time?
Well, the good news is that Hudson is in contention. But to answer your question, Gaz, I think if Ward extends his loan, he will go straight into the team with Lynch, unless Joe Lynch is injured, perish the thought. Mark Hudson will be selected when necessary next time, but I don't think it'll be at the expense of Elliot Ward, because the nature of Ward's deal is an emergency. Joe Lynch looks fine, as usual. He'll be challenged by the better strikers in the division, but I must say, without wishing to sound arrogant, I don't think that Ipswich have got anything particularly special that's going to get past Joe Lynch routinely. So I think Hudson is a good option with Lynch, but if Ward's available, I would take him.
And up front, will we see the real and good Ishmael Miller? Because when we see him, he's very, very good. When we don't see that, he's very, very bad. What will we see? Will we see him?
I think Ishmael Miller is due a rest, Gaz. I think he has fought hard, mostly to good effect, although in the last 2 games, undoubtedly, straddling the 2 Saturday breaks, Ishmael Miller has looked tired of mind as well as body. And I think Naki Wells, who's had success at Portman Road for Huddersfield Town before, James Vaughan lurking around amongst the periphery of the squad now, we understand he's fit to be considered for selection. Both those players have had success at Portman Road as a Huddersfield Town player, and I think it is time for something fresh up front. I think the selection of the shape of the team is going to dictate who actually starts the game, Gaz, because I can see scope for Naki Wells coming back in with some support down the flanks from Harry Bunn. I think it's his more natural position. I don't care what anybody says about him being a number 10. He does that fine as well, but he always seems to drift wide anyway. And maybe ask for Sean Scannell to deliver a lot more than he did at Molineux, and maybe give Carayol a rest. I can see it going 4-3-3, but 4-5-1 when Town are defending. And that would dictate surely Nahki Wells rather than a tired-looking Ishmael Miller.
So Oggy sounds quite positive to me. I don't know what you think, and that's always a good sign. So let's hope Huddersfield Town are going to get back to, at least getting a point, if not 3, away at Ipswich on Saturday. Join Paul Ogden, Kieran O'Regan and Nick Hatton from 2 o'clock on BBC Radio Leeds, 774 AM and DAB Digital Radio for all the build-up in our dedicated Town show and exclusive commentary.